What's good, fellow CEOs? Welcome to the Irony of Gaming, and today we're going to be starting up episode 7. Now, the last episode was pretty crazy because Yumina ends up going into school to to finish up her experience at to finish up her classes that she didn't get to finish in high school because of the whole phenomenon situation that happened when she awakened to her powers long ago. And so she's in a counter academy, and she met a few people who was she met some interesting people here and there and had a few rivals and whatnot. Later on, we end up finding out that there was a necromancer that has brought pretty much Ministra to death, from the dead, and she ends up becoming something different. Of course, eventually she gets defeated once more, and fast forwarding, Ju Shiyun ends up alone on the top of the roof, and none other than Ray shows up, and something ends up happening. So we see like a flash of blood happen, and we don't even know which it was. So we're gonna go and find out. Craziness that's happening on here. So let's start this up. And this is episode 7, Seeker of Truth. So you guys know the drill already. If I'm going to talk about anything spoiler related, I'm going to count down from 5 seconds, and that's going to give you enough time to mute the video. And once I'm done talking about what I'm talking about, I'm going to then rotate my mouse just like this, and that's going to give you guys the signal to unmute the video, and then we can continue on. Also too, I am obligated by a rule. There's a rule that I have to follow, is that I am only obligated to use units that is part of the same squad. Now, there may be some cases where I may have to do a collaborative effort, meaning that I may have to use another unit that's part of a different squad, just so I can be able to get through specific challenges that the game throws at me. This has only happened a few times. This may not be the case for this one here. However, this is where the game starts to ramp up its difficulty. So I may have to start using ships to start clearing some of these. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, let's start this. Follow his path of righteous suffering. To the edge of the world. A sage. Huh. I'd uh I'd pay close attention to this part. Try to keep that in the back of your mind for now. This is interesting. Nothing in this universe is truly destroyed or born anew. It is merely their form that changes. You know, this is something really interesting about that. Because not too long ago, about last week, I was hanging out with some friends, and we got into this conversation where we was talking about, like, you know, some aspects of what the universe is and if there is like truly an end to something. And like we would throw so much logic at this, and we came to this type of conclusion that maybe there is no end, since the universe continues to expand and space continues to expand. So maybe there is no end at all. And we would think it too, that let's say if everything did end up reaching an end, or end up stopping, or end up fading away, it probably truly isn't faded away, that it'll just end up becoming something else. And if everything goes back to dark and back to, you know, being a cold element, that eventually something will spark, which would restart the whole process again and again and again. Crazy stuff. Kind of like kind of like water being liquid, then freezing it changes into something else. And then if you were to put extreme heat towards it, and it evaporates, but now it becomes like a type of smoke or a vapor. And then wiping the vapor, then you just, like, you know, as the vapor just starts to disappear, it's just, I guess, molecules or atoms that just separate so that you can no longer see them as a cluster anymore. So it's like the vapor is still there, it's just that bits and pieces of it is now scattered away into somewhere else. It's just like, it seems like everything changes into a different form. So it's really interesting that this is saying that. Kind of mind spinning in a way. Interesting story. But never absences without leave. Wow, in shambles. So there was a battle. the data had been corrupted, as if it was exposed to corruption rays. Huh. You sure about that, Lysion? Ah, so they do talk about it here. Huh. I actually do have questions on that. You know, hold on. Just I wonder. No, you know what? No, I'll wait a bit longer. Hold on. Actually, yeah. You know what? Hold on, just in case. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so for those of you who didn't mute the video, so in terms of like the whole concept with the demon lord and their apostles, I wonder in this case how many apostles could a demon lord acquire? In terms of like with Nehemoth, I wonder if Nehemoth had 2 or maybe 3 apostles. That's what I'm wondering about. Because one of them, I would think that, Clarith, I think his name is Clarith, or yeah, Clarith, Clarith. Hold on, I know I'm saying his name right, but I don't think his name. I don't think it was like if there was like a N in his name. No, Clarith. Okay, it was Clarith. Okay, like Clarith, we would know that, as powerful as he was, there's no doubt, I think he was an apostle. And as powerful as Alan was, he might have been an apostle as well. And what was it called? In terms of, what is it, Lucretia, I think she might have been one as well, as powerful as she was. So I wonder if demon lords can have an infinite amount of apostles, or it just depends. It depends on if they find them worthy or not. Because like when you think about it, Thagirian has only 2 apostles, or could we consider the other one, the other one that invaded? I think it was the purple looking one, like the purple looking minister one. I wonder if she was considered to be an apostle during the invasion of the Omens. Or maybe she could have just been like an underling to the apostles, but I don't know. Because I mean, she had Swan, she had the other one. I can't even really pronounce her name, but it was like Soul something. And then the other one, the purple one, it might have been started with a Nerver or something like that. No, Navir or something like that. But I'm not sure if she was considered to be another apostle. But I am curious, what is the limit to that happening? That also gives me another thought too, that maybe, Beelzebub or something like that could have multiple apostles, maybe going over the limit of 3, but I don't know. Ooh, that does give me another idea. Something having to do with Nayubin. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there, though, because I do wonder if something like that is possible, and like, forming contracts and all that stuff. Yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we get there, though. But it is an interesting thing, though, how many apostles could a demon lord have? Something went very wrong with the ark that was detaining her master. Assets, huh? Wonder who that could be. Ooh, the Dragon Buster too? You know things are getting serious if she has to bring that. If I remember correctly too, this is where, like, in episode 7, this is where they really start to expand on the story more, and the story starts to become a lot longer than usual. See, like, there's quite a bit of stuff over here. So yeah, it's quite a bit. It's a very interesting story. A dive with so many inexperienced individuals would greatly increase the chance of a powerful CO appearing. I guess that would make sense. Because if they're inexperienced, they could have high emotions, antsy. That could create some type of negative emotion, which could also be a beacon to the COs, which would most likely would attract shadows. Yeah, that would be fair. A reasonable analysis. they don't know why they agreed to it? Huh. A key witness have gone missing. Huh. What a coincidence. Oh boy. Ooh, an actual eyewitness. The heliport was engulfed in an explosion. Wow. I wonder how fast was that battle? That you just see it, like, it probably happened so fast that an explosion happened and then that was it. The battle was over. Shut your sensory organs down. Yeah, that's another word of getting. That's another way of saying you got knocked out. So pretty much they're going AWOL again. Leaving their post. Chaotic yet deliberate planning. The reunion. Alright, let's see. What do I do? Wait, what level? I think they're like I think they're like what, 110 maybe, 105. So things may be a little serious at this point.
그만 저에게 지시를.
성실한 친구들이길 바라지.
다이브는 안 하고 싶어요. 멀미가 심해서요.
I thought I had enough to finish Dash. I never finished Dash? Interesting. I'm gonna have to do some farming later.
그림은 나한테 맡겨.
A mercenary who can mess with your sense of direction. Have we met a counter like that before? That can mess with your sense of direction. That'd be interesting for a unit that could do that. But I'm wondering exactly how would that work? Like, how would that function gameplay-wise? Who knows? Maybe this could be like a foreshadowing of maybe a potential unit that we can get along, along the lines in the future, in the near future, I'm guessing.
조용히
만큼
해야지.
훌륭한 판단이세요.
단순한
시간을
시간이야. 정신 덜 차려. 널 위한 거다. 널 위한 거다.
공감도의 스퀀스. 도중은 포기하시죠.
널 위한 거다. 널 위한 거다.
신선 스프레이 장착 완료.
널 위한 거다.
이제 그만 항복해주세요.
도움이 필요한가? 정신 덜 차려.
아데스트 트레이드 출력 상승.
널 위한 거다.
놓칠 줄 알았습니까? 거의 다 완성. 맞다. 으쌰. 으쌰.
나이스.
이거 진한 상이라도 줘야겠는걸?
Of course. Ah. Okay, so this happens. This happens after the event. So there was an event in the substream. It might be in the seasonal substream, but there was like this event that was about. It pretty much was like about like a race and stuff like that, like competition wise. Sometimes we get this event like a where you could decide who's the better racer, like Niall or Seo Yoon, like that little temporary event game that they usually give us now and then. But there is also an actual substream story on this where Seo Yoon and Niall are like side characters, but the main story was about a basically a counter whose ability was like being invisible and stuff like that. It's a really cool story. It's a cool and humble story. And I recommend you guys read that one. It's pretty good. It's something about like a field day or something like that. But it's pretty hilarious though. It's like it's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. Like Niall, she just been taking it nothing but L's in that story. It's hilarious on how she takes the L's too. It's just she pretty much brought it on herself. But yeah, you should check it out. Oh man, just thinking about it, it's hilarious. But yeah, it connects to the story too, so it's pretty cool that they mention it. Oh my god, she's still mentioning that. The Academy's best garbage? She has a really interesting history. And it kind of makes me think that maybe someday she might actually get an awakened form. There is a there is a substream which it involves a different character, but that character has a specific connection to this character. It's very interesting. You really gonna try and hypnotize her again? That you know you can actually help me makes me laugh. Man, Mina just
제 성능을 발휘할 수 있었던
Mina just
건
attracts a bunch of
당신의 진술
rivals.
덕분입니다.
She just got it like that. Okay, so let's see what we can do. I got an idea.
제 손으로 직접 조율해드리죠.
휴가 중이지만 사장님 부탁이니까 잘 챙겨줄게.
행복해 보이는 사람들 뿐이구나. 리허설을 해야겠네. 앞으로 전진!
Why do I get the feeling I'm missing someone? Maestra, Carmen, Plagas, Shayna, Luna. There were only 5 members, right? Well, technically there's 6, but no clue when they're going to release that unit, or if they're even going to become a unit. I guess so. Alright.
이런 건 처음 타봐요.
Very suspicious.
조무래기들에게 겁먹을 쏘냐?
받는 만큼은 해야지. 너무
훌륭한 판단이죠.
바닥인데 단수 단처분이지. 질병은 햇살처럼 바닥바람을 부르는
잘 부탁해요. 맞다. 한옥탑 원래
반성.
이거랑 먹어. 걷어줄래?
깊은 곳에
맞다.
그 삶의 세계에서 좀 더 수련하게 들어오시고 너를 위해 시를 피날래. 무모하긴
사랑스럽고 이게
나의
나의
장소인
장소인
반성.
일반 갑시다.
Uh-oh. Dungeon encounters. Pretty much a remix version of Dungeons and Dragons. You know, I am curious though. I wonder what that would be like though. Dungeons encounters. Like I'm guessing it would be pretty much the counter side or maybe the dives, and then you just have to have a bunch of adventures, kind of like the great expeditions. I wonder if you could make something like that into like a tabletop game, or maybe like one of those RPG things where, you know, the way that people do the role playing thing for Dungeons and Dragons, but it'll just be a remix of CounterSide. I think that would be cool. You can just acquire all types of weapons or artifacts within the dives, and then you just get into it with like other situations and stuff like that. Yo, I could actually see, like, you know how Baldur's Gate is, the way that its functionality is. What if you can add that type of functionality in CounterSide sense? Create a game that's pretty much just like that, like CounterSide, and explaining like more of the dives and whatnot. Oh, I think that would be pretty cool. That'd be interesting. He got wiped several times because he kept rolling snake eyes. cried in the end. I mean, that's kind of reasonable, because I mean, if you get snake eyes several times in a row, that's just, could you even call it bad luck at that point? You might as well just be cursed at that point. She said she don't remember. I'm sure you don't. An already existing city. I wonder about something though. Spoiler alert. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so for those of you who didn't mute the video, I wonder if, like, the way that this city is, right? I wonder if it's possible for I wonder if it's possible for the Demon Lord's Clypha dimension to partially take over this area right here. Like, the area that they went into and they ran into COs. I wonder if this was the CounterSide the whole time. And if that is the case, then maybe a part of, because it was the CounterSide, maybe the Clypha dimension of the Demon Lord, of the Demon Lord's world, ended up being shown here. So as soon as they walked into the CounterSide area, that they immediately walked into, like, you know, a partial of the Demon Lord's world. Or maybe they are already in the Demon Lord's world, in his Clypha dimension. Hence why it looks like, you know, like a castle and whatnot, or pretty much resembles the old world that they used to be a part of. I wonder if that is the case, if that's what's happening. Spatial manipulation can move a city that large. Yeah, that's what it seems like. For what I was just saying a few minutes ago. Uh-oh.
부부가 된 기념 선물이에요. 마음에 드시나요?
And superhuman abilities, and even so, this is most unusual. Yeah, that should work. fleeing the Demon Lord's minions. She really thinks this is a theme park. Uh-oh. Oh, they already think you sus. Oh no. Oh no. Yep. The demons of the second category. Wow, that escalated really fast. Oh, I love this theme song.
누가 길만 펼치라고 했어?
공연 중에 주무시면 반성 반성 깊은 곳에 사랑 속에 여리게 반성
올릴게.
흐르는 물을 참 좀더 시간하기
널
전에 특별히 반성 특별한 결혼식이 될 겁니다.
올릴게. 힘차서 기울여봐라. 그럴 틈이 어딨어. 가자. 힘차
반성
짜잔. 영웅은 무조건
that was quick.
이긴다니까요.
Man, I remember how, like, back then, like, these battles used to be challenging. Like, the enemies here used to be, like, tanky. You only use one sword. You know, it's pretty cool that she acknowledges that, because in most roles of scheming, she usually is involved in it. I guess it comes with the territory. Let's leave Niall out of this. The Whisperer. Theme park backstory. uniform of the Savior. Fenrir mercenaries who bested the apostles of the Demon Lord recently might also be of some help. Uh-oh.
부부가 된 기념 선물이에요. 마음에 드시나요?
A miracle is a product of a human irrationality. Even that comes at a cost. I guess so. I wonder what other team I could use. Actually, I got a good idea.
좋은
We'll use her.
인재들과 교류할 기회로군요. 좋은 인재들과 교류할 기회로군요.
겁먹지 마세요. 같은 편은 잡아먹지 않아요.
실익이 있길 바라죠.
How many society members is there? I don't get it. Did I pass it? Oh, there it is. Oh, right. Yeah, Rivet. Okay, so they are a part of it. All right. Got it. That's what I was looking for. Oh, you know what? Since I'm over here as well. I wonder if I could find it. Where is it? No, that's not it. Bum, bum. The first lesson. might be in the seasonal one. No, that's not it either. It's somewhere. It's somewhere around there. Oh, that's interesting that this is here. Episode 1 leads back to there? Huh. Is this the Counter Saga? No. Oh, right here. This. Yeah, this is it right here. So this is the Academy Field Day thing that I was talking about. This is how Niall ends up recognizing Seo Yoon. Very funny substream. And then there was this other one as well. Oh, yeah. For what I was talking about before, about the interesting story about what is it, Yen? This one right here, Assassin's Pursuit, the Creed of the Yakuza. Interesting substream.
이건 아주 치명적인 배합이에요.
얌전히 지내야겠다. 우와! 이런 걸 처음 타봐요. 맨날 뛰어다니기만 했는데.
Cursed Wolf. Uh-oh. He's a CEO. She really thinks this is a game. I don't know. Eternium?
선전을 선포합니다. 받는 만큼은 해야지. 수술이 필요한
맡겨주세요.
나서야겠군요. 메모하고
비켜줄래? 일단 저질러버려. 잡아들다.
멈추세요. 당신들에게 도움을 오지 않아. 이거나 가르쳐드리세요.
산산이 부서진다.
세상과 함께 얼어붙으시네. 좋은 대결이었습니다.
맞다. 영웅은
Oh, wow.
무조건
That
이긴다는
was quick.
시간이야.
Oh, look at that. They even transformed. And this is like one of the first things that you can see here, that these enemies are tougher than the replacer hybriders. Back then, the replacer hybriders were pretty tough. And then as the game went along, this is where they really started ramping up the difficulties. And the game really started calling for, you know, players to start upgrading their gear and focusing more on increasing their skill, their units' skill kit. It's crazy how far things have come. Forged by the unchosen to blasphemy against divine beings. You know, now that I think about it, did they ever talk about who created the missile time? We know that it was in the possession of the replacers, but I don't think that the replacers were the ones who created the weapon. I wonder if this was an old administrator weapon, like administration weapon, or maybe a different type of origin created this weapon. I would definitely like to know more about its past and how it ended up with an empty shell, like they said before. Crafted by foolish outsiders. Yeah, she's pretty strong. But see, this is the theory that I was having before, what I was mentioning before on this sort of thing. It appears incomplete as its divinity-piercing heart is still empty. So this is you know what? Just in case, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so for those of you who didn't mute the video, so we know that the missile time was incomplete, right? But it's also a divinity-piercing heart. It's still empty. So it seems like the missile time is also a god-killing weapon. Kind of like the wolf's bane. But then that raises the question though: is it possible for the missile time to be exactly like the wolf's bane, in which it's capable of killing even demon lords and maybe even possibly ending the cycle? What if the very like the 4 weapons, the 4 legendary weapons that were mentioned before, which back in the substream from Burnett Never Dies, this is the only time that it's ever mentioned, but in that story with Burnett Never Dies, Elizabeth mentions that there were 4 specific weapons, 4 specific high-grade administration weapons, or I guess administration grade level weapons that were forged by different means. And maybe it wasn't even, and maybe they're not even administration weapons, but one was the Wolf's Bane, one was the Chain Shield, which is owned by Roy Burnett. Another was the spell book, or should I say the staff, which is owned by Yuna. And then finally, the last one was the missile time. So these 4 great weapons might actually be capable of killing gods, which means that the Wolf's Bane may not be the only weapon that could extinguish a demon lord. That maybe these 4 weapons owned by 4 individuals are capable of actually breaking the cycle. So maybe Mina might not be the only one who has a weapon that's capable of doing that, but Mina herself has a much higher chance in achieving that goal, because it seems like she's capable of, excelling to the point where she can challenge demon lords and defeat them. But then again, maybe there are specific weapons that are needed to defeat specific demon lords. Like, in a way, you could say that maybe Rosaria could only be defeated by the likes of Hilde and whatever specific weapon that Hilde possesses, and that Serapel can only be defeated by a means of specific magic that Yuna possesses. Could be. Or they're just, maybe this whole thing is like, maybe, they have some type of capability of only killing the Guardians of Sephira, and only the Wolf's Bane could kill demon lords and break the cycle. Could go hand in hand, either or, but the idea of that is interesting. more than a half complete weapon to harm the Saintess of Resurrection. Seo Yun wasn't happy about that. Uh-oh. Oh, so she might have been actually the one who was doing all the necromancy from the start. And they did mention too that it might have something to do with an apostle. So she could be an apostle to this demon lord, which is known as what? The Whisperer, the way what the knights were talking about. You know what's really interesting about this? Hold on. You know what? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So, what I find really interesting on this is that if she had the option, like if Lucretia had the option to kill Mina, but Alan is preventing her from doing that, and Ray is asking her not to. So something tells me that you're not allowed to do that. Like even as you know, like a demon lord or whatnot, I don't think that you are allowed to kill the wolf without the Clyfoth games starting. And I think that that's probably a condition that has to be met, because it seems like you know, I get you saying near futures and whatnot, Mina encounters a whole bunch of demon lords and whatnot, but they choose to do nothing towards her, and they have their apostles do nothing towards her. But it almost seems like they can't do anything about it, because if they do, they'll end up breaking, I guess, a real sacred rule, which would end up in their annihilation. That's really interesting. Because now that I think about it, there's so many who has ties to like a demon lord or is one, but has done nothing to harm, like to really harm Mina. But whereas there are others like the Replacers who have been trying to kill Mina. But you know, it kind of makes you think too, like what would happen if those who know nothing of the Clifoth games ends up like killing the wolf? What exactly would happen? Would Tamel just automatically just wake up and then just wipe everything out again? Or would something, I don't know, would something else end up happening? Because also too, when you think about it, it's like how far does one have to go in breaking the rules before they get completely punished? Like, we know that the Girian has broken the rules in trying to invade to the point where she's not starting the Clifoth game. But now it's come to the point where, you know, the administrator has to invade the Girian's world in order to force a Clifoth game to start. It's really it's like a brain teaser from that. It's really interesting when you think about it. Still think it's a theme park, huh? My rewards, my XP!
승리했습니다. 변수는 없었다. 누군요?
It's hilarious. Man, her design is so cool. There's a way. Yep. Ah, so we already knew. Looks like the administrator already planned for this. Planned ahead. Oh, we're bringing in the big guns. You know what? Sigma really is one when you think about it. She's like a she's like a mini Skynet. Well, it looks like Shiyun has got overpowered, apparently. Mina's giving everybody a cup of noodles. You get a cup of noodles, you get a cup of noodles. Everybody gets a cup of noodles. Oh boy. She said nope. And that is the end of the first act. This was quite lengthy of Act 1, but also 2, we had a lot to cover on some of this. It's a lot of interesting theories and a lot of interesting things that they mentioned here. But yeah, we're gonna be. This is a perfect cliffhanger on here. But yeah, episode 7 was quite it's a really interesting episode. I definitely did like this one, and there's a lot of suspense and surprises to this. So it's what an episode. That's what I can say for it. But yeah, that would be a great cliffhanger to start off with. But before I end it here, we're going to do at least 2 PvP matches on this. So I had a strategy on this right here I was using earlier today. I mean, it was doing pretty good so far, but I don't know how far is it going to go. So far I've won about 4 times in a row, but we'll see if we can keep this up.
조무래기들에게 겁먹을 쓰냐?
So what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and get Mafka out there as soon as possible. So because they're using her, I'm going to try and use Levia to start distracting them and start damaging her.
여러분의 인사곡단은 제게 맡겨주세요.
Then I'm going to put Mafka and make her invisible so they can't hit her. Ooh. Nice. Oh, look at that. It seems like she still couldn't get hit. Even when Mina did that. Uh-oh. Yikes. That sucks. So you know what I should have done? I probably should have used my Mina, wipe her out, and then have a what's it called? Have a race to see who destroys whose ship. I've went into situations like that before. Sometimes my Mina would come out on top. But then again too, I am a bit slower when I'm on the PC version. Okay, so we're facing a Felix. So I think that they're probably going to use Felix first or something like that, right? Yep, that's what I'm counting on. Then I'm going to use Mina.
소중한 사람을 지키기 위해서 난 싸우지
From there, I'm just going to heal Mina.
활력을 확보해. 쉬고
Let's see what happens if I do that. Ah, nice. And Mina destroyed them. GG's.
무조건 이긴다니까요.
Alright, we'll do one more. Ooh, okay. Got it, Alex.
조무래기들에게 겁먹을 쓰냐?
Okay, let's see. What do we do here?
일단 펌프질 좀 하고.
꼭 엄살펴주지. 교전 개시.
Yeah.
역할을 다하겠어.
Let's see if we can stealth them. Let's see if I do that real quick.
여기까지. 홀짝을 내 저질러버려 받아라 더 이상
내 앞을 가로막는다면 전력으로 맞설 뿐이야.
열불 확보 완료.
Yikes.
여기서 결판 내자
I did it too early. I did it way too early. Oh, wait. Mina still got her, though. Mina still got her.
우리가 잡았다고요
Oh, that was funny.
거부하지 마
I was worried that I did it too early. That was a bit lucky. We got a bit lucky on that. Oh look, we got promoted. Oh man, that was a bit lucky. Oh man, but we did pull through though. That was crazy. But yeah, that'll be it right here. I hope you guys enjoyed the PvP match on here and the read-through on episode 7. Get prepared because it is going to be a wild ride on episode 7. A lot of interesting things are going to be dropped. Some may be confusing, but it'll start to make sense in later chapters and you know, later main episodes and even some substreams. But yeah, that'll be it for here. But also too, I do play other games on the channel, and if you want, you can feel free to check that out on the playlist section. I'll also have a link in the description below. And also too, I do have a gaming shorts channel, which is the Irony of Gaming Shorts, and I'll have a link in there as well. That's where I've been uploading my recently new shorts videos on here. The old shorts videos will remain on the main channel here, but new ones going forward will be going to the shorts channel. So feel free to check that out. I also have a music channel as well. Feel free to check that out as well. I have a link in the description below as well. But yeah, can't wait. I can't wait to start, you know, finishing up on this other one, the other acts on there. But yeah, I'm out of here, guys. Catch you later.